Hello and welcome to this presentation on how to use Solomon VLE. It's rather long, and it's rather detailed, but by the end of this video you should be able to navigate your way around Solomon, and use some of its more advanced functionality. It must be emphasized that Solomon is not a website, rather it is what is called a virtual learning environment. It is a computer system, albeit with a web front end, and like any computer system that is new to you, it takes some time to get used to. Your time spent here will be a good investment, as it will help you to get the most out of Solomon. This presentation is divided in two. The first 8 slides explain some of its background and philosophy. The remainder of the presentation is how to navigate and use the system. We recommend you register for Solomon VLE only after you have been initiated. To do otherwise will lessen the impact of your ceremony. You will have a proposer and a seconder that will assist you with what you need to know. There is also a membership officer, and you should be given a personal mentor, in addition to a lodge mentor who has the wider responsibility. This is to avoid what we refer to as a plot spoiler. You will no doubt have had the experience of the person who tells you the plot of a film before you have seen it, and this has ruined the experience for you. It's exactly the same for Freemasonry. These modules are not intended to prepare you for your ceremony. Rather they are to make sense of your ceremony after you have experienced it. Solomon VLE was launched on the 21st of November 2018, and now has over 40,000 users. It is growing every day. Since its launch we have been on a journey of what it means to have a virtual learning environment in Freemasonry. Virtual learning environments are now very much part of everyday life in schools, colleges, and universities. A big contrast from when some of us were in full-time education, where the only audio-visual was chalk and talk. From now on we will refer to virtual learning environments simply as VLEs. When we started back in 2018, Solomon looked more like a website. However, it is constantly evolving, and we are adding new features all the time. Our new welcome modules are the pinnacle of functionality, as they incorporate every form of interactivity, including quizzes and badges. We will cover the welcome modules later in this presentation. We are always keen to hear how you are using the material in Solomon. Most of the developments have been because of feedback from users. Solomon is your system, and there are a number of ways you can provide feedback so we can learn how to develop the system in the future. Coming back to our central theme, I have already explained that Solomon is a system. My rhetorical question to you is, what does Solomon have in common with world-class systems such as Uber, Airbnb, eBay, Facebook and Amazon? Well, how much do you know about computers? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Some people get the answer. Well, Solomon is a platform, exactly like Uber, Airbnb, eBay, Facebook and Amazon. In the same way eBay connects buyers with sellers, Uber connects passengers with taxis and Airbnb connects renters with property owners, Solomon connects authors with members. Solomon is the blue rectangle in the middle that connects the authors on the left and members on the right. As a platform, the Solomon system connects the 40 or so authors that have made unique contributions for the 40,000 subscribers. This slide asks the question, who is Solomon supposed to benefit? Is it the diagram on the left, or the diagram on the right? In the diagram on the left, Freemasonry is divided between those who have access to Solomon. In the outer ring are the other lodge members. These members are excluded from Solomon, as they do not have an account. We hope this is not the shared perspective of Solomon. Rather, the diagram on the right encapsulates our philosophy. Solomon is not the only way of delivering learning and development. The platform is one of many different ways of delivering the much wider possibilities of learning and development. We know from our early work that members are interested in finding more about the meaning of Freemasonry, in addition to the ceremonial side, with which we are mostly familiar. We are not in the habit of quoting poetry. However, this excerpt from T.S. Eliot neatly sums up our philosophy. We had the experience but missed the meaning. We can go through a ceremony, but the experience will be lost on us unless we receive some sort of explanation. This is where Solomon VLE comes in. We have added an S to the end of the original quote because there is not just one meaning to Freemasonry, but many different interpretations. As speculative Masons, these are personal to us. This is a standard statement that you will find throughout Solomon. It basically says that any presentations made on Solomon is the author's view, and that they are acting in a personal capacity. The views expressed do not represent those of the United Grand Lodge of England, or Supreme Grand Chapter. As explained on the previous slide, Freemasonry is pluralistic. Therefore you will read many different perspectives on Solomon. Sometimes you will see views that contradict each other. While some perspectives are more obvious and common, others may not be. That is the free in Freemasonry. It is for you to critically evaluate and arrive at your own perspective. With Solomon, we want you to consider it as part of a blended learning approach to Freemasonry. This is a combination of learning from an expert, learning from peers, and self-directed learning. Learning from an expert might be something that you do at your lodge, with an experienced past master. You also learn from your peers, people who joined your lodge at around the same time that you did, or other members of other lodges. Solomon can be self-directed learning, something one does on one's own. But referring back to the diagram where learning and development is for everyone. Nuggets can be delivered at lodge or chapter meetings. They can be a summons item, or as a time filler, for example when a candidate goes outside to get prepared. Likewise, lectures are available that can be downloaded and delivered on a lodge night. Please note that although there are copyright notices on Solomon, this is to assert our intellectual property and try and prevent other organizations from using the material. This should not prevent you from distributing the material among members, in fact we positively encourage it. The material is provided for your benefit and you are welcome to mash it up, and come up with your own presentations. For example, there is nothing stopping you making one presentation from 3 nuggets you think are related. The only limits are your imagination, and please let us know how you get on.
We are now into the second part of the presentation, where we will be talking about the mechanics of Solomon. What we call the button pressing part of the demonstration. Though lengthy, it is worth the investment in time as it will enable you to use Solomon to the full. As we explained a little earlier, Solomon is a computer system with a web front end, it is not a website. Therefore, you need to know how to navigate around to gain the greatest benefit. We will start with logging on. Solomon's web address, or URL, is solomon.ugle.org.uk. This address is what is known as deep web. This is not to be confused with the dark web, which is something nefarious and altogether different. Deep web simply means it is not available on search engines, so you need to know the address. Whilst it is not a secret, and anyone can register an account, in practice we do not wish to draw too much attention to the system as it is intended to be a member benefit for those who have joined our fraternity. There are lots of other resources out there for people who are curious about Freemasonry, and may even wish to inquire about membership. This little corner of the internet is intended for our members. We have a number of top tips for you. This is the first. Your browser will let you bookmark your favorite sites. If you are using Chrome, pressing Ctrl+D will bookmark the current site. You can then transfer it to the bookmark bar at the top of your browser, as shown by the red arrow. Our recommended setup to access Solomon is the Chrome browser on a Windows machine. Alternatively, browsers often show the most visited sites on their home page. Often the address will auto-complete for you, so you will just need to type in the first few characters of Solomon and the browser will help you complete the full address of solomon.ugle.org.uk. After you have entered the Solomon URL, you will be taken to the front page. The login is located at the top right hand of the screen. Note there are 2 guest access modules available to anyone outside of the system, without having to log in or need an account. These guest access modules are called Discover Freemasonry and Getting Started with Solomon. More about these later. At the login screen you can enter the user ID that you chose along with your password. The system also accepts your email address as your user ID. Coincidentally, the lodge rooms in the background are located in Selby, in the province of Yorkshire, North and East Ridings. If you have lost your credentials, you can use the system to set a new password by entering the email address you are using. This will allow you to recover your account and start over. The system will send a message to the email address you designate.
Item number 2 is concerned with the homepage, which is what happens after you have successfully entered your Solomon credentials. This is the total list of modules available on Solomon. The 2 guest modules are shown in blue at the top. The welcome modules, shown in red, are intended for those who have recently undertaken one of the ceremonies. Other brethren may find them of interest too. The modules in black are what one might call information modules, which we will deal with in item 5 on our agenda. After you join Freemasonry, we recommend you join Welcome Apprentice, the First Degree, Lodge Matters and Masonic History. Moving on in the list, Lodge Matters is the module dedicated to the correct operation and running of a lodge meeting. It deals with subjects such as procedure and etiquette. It may help you avoid making a faux pas at one of your early meetings. Many people join Freemasonry because of its history and traditions, so it should be obvious what Masonic history is about. Finally, Mentor's Corner is really for people who look after brethren who are responsible for the learning and development of newer members. For example, this could be the lodge mentor or the lodge membership officer. On successful admission to the system, you will be presented with the homepage, which is divided into 3 sections. The first you can see are the guest access modules. We will cover these in the next part of the presentation, item 4 on our agenda. If you scroll down using your mouse pointer, you will see all the modules you are enrolled on. To begin with, these will be minimal. This list will be presented in the latest order you viewed the module. In this example I last viewed Welcome Apprentice. Before that, I looked at the First Degree. And before that, I accessed Lodge Matters, and so on. This lets you start off from where you left off more easily. But don't be surprised when the order changes when you go looking through different modules. If you scroll down further you will see all the modules that are available to you. We start to see here the difference between a VLE and a website. A VLE is divided into modules. You can see the list that are available here. Discover Freemasonry, Getting Started with Solomon and some others we can't see the name of, so let's scroll down a bit. Yes, that's better. The other modules you will see are Welcome Apprentice, the First Degree, Welcome Fellowcraft, the Second Degree, Welcome Master Mason and the Third Degree. The modules on this page are content areas that are optional. What this allows you to do is to customize your experience. Thus, for example, someone who has been in for a long time may be interested in Royal Arch, but not interested in the First Degree. Someone may be interested in the history of Freemasonry, but less interested in the administrative aspects that are dealt with in Lodge Matters. The list of all modules available on Solomon is a fixed list. Unlike the list of enrolled modules we looked at previously, which dynamically gives the order you last viewed them, the order in this list is always the same, making it easier to find modules. If you don't want to scroll all the way down to get to the module you want, select My Modules. A menu will then appear of all the modules on which you are enrolled. These are in alphabetical order and allow you to jump straight to the module you need. Let's have a look at some of the other functions. This is what is known as the hamburger symbol. When it is selected, the navigation pane on the left disappears and allows you to see the page you are on full screen. Like this. You will now see the hamburger has a border to it to signify it has been selected. Press it again to get back to using the navigation pane, if that is what you want to do. When you are in a module, you can jump back to the home page by either selecting Home on the navigation pane. My personal favorite is to use the square and compasses to get back to the home page. Simply because it's bigger. On the right-hand side of the screen is more functionality. You can do a search of all the modules on which you are enrolled by pressing the magnifying glass icon. We're going to take a deep dive on search in a later section. If you click on the bubble icon, it will show you messages you have received. These will also be sent through email, but can be viewed, and are stored on Solomon. This is what we mean when we say that Solomon is more than just a series of web pages, it is a system. If it was just a website, we wouldn't be able to send you emails. To do so, you need to have an account, which is why you need to register on the system as a user, basically so we can identify you as an individual. The third item on the end is there for user preferences. If you select this, you will be presented with information similar to that on the right. This allows you to see how much you have progressed through some of the modules. This is especially applicable to the welcome modules. We will go into more depth about these later on. You can change this view to look at all the notifications you have received. Above this, where the arrow is pointing, are options to change your profile using the person icon, preferences by using the spanner icon, and the last icon can be used to log out of the system. If you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, you will see important information about contacting Solomon, and about the various policies. These do not just appear on the bottom of the screen for the home page, but on the bottom of every page you view, making it really easy to find. There are 2 email addresses given. The first is for technical support, help.solomon@ugle.org.uk. If you spot a content error, send us an email on content.solomon@ugle.org.uk. Please do not respond to emails sent to you from Solomon. These users do not reply email address and are not monitored. Do bear in mind when we send out a system-wide email, it goes out to over 40,000 users. However, this should not deter you. In fact, we would encourage you to contact us on either the help or content email addresses. We love to hear from you, and we can't learn without your feedback. On the line below are the policies for social media, our code of conduct, and a UGLE privacy statement. For the former 2, we ask users to treat others with respect, and behave as if they were in a lodge meeting.
The next area we are going to look at are the guest access modules. You will recall when you enter the Solomon URL, you are presented with the front page from where you can log in. This shows the 2 guest access modules, which are Discover Freemasonry and Getting Started with Solomon. Both of these modules are available from outside the system, and anyone can look at them without needing to log in, or needing to register a user ID and password. These modules are also available as the first modules you see when you log in, as shown in this slide. With Getting Started with Solomon, there must be nothing more frustrating than trying to get to a system, when all the information you need to get started is actually contained within the system you are trying to access. This module provides guest access material to help get people started with the system. It is almost the same content as another module we will see later on Solomon's system, Information for Users. Discover Freemasonry is for those who have chanced upon the site, say by following a link in Freemasonry Today or from one of our social media posts. This gives people who are maybe interested in Freemasonry some insight into our organization. A link to membership inquiry is given here.
We now move on to the Solomon modules themselves. These are the core of the system. If we go back to the home page and remind ourselves of the fixed list of modules, we can look at there are basically two types of modules. The first of these are welcome modules. The second type are what we might call information modules. Let's have a look at Welcome Apprentice, as that is the first on our list. This is what the Welcome Apprentice module looks like when you first enter. Below the title is what we call the breadcrumb. This tells you your current location in the system. Note that all other functions covered are still available, like My Modules and the hamburger to change to full screen. Along the left-hand column you will see a menu system. This allows you to jump down to relevant content, without having to scroll all the way down. You can use the Welcome Apprentice item in this column to jump back to this position from anywhere in the module. We will be coming back to badges a little later on, but they are mainly used in the welcome modules. The welcome modules are mainly for people who have just undertaken a ceremony. Thus, Welcome Apprentice is best explored after you have undertaken your initiation, Welcome Fellowcraft when a candidate has undertaken their passing, Welcome Master Mason after a raising, and Welcome Companion after a candidate has undertaken their exaltation ceremony. They are most definitely not preparation for the ceremonies. Unless you want to spoil the revelation and awe, they should not be explored until after the relevant ceremony. Every module has an item called Top of Module, which allows you to jump to the first item. There is a corresponding End of Module, which is also there to say that is the intentional last item in the module. There is nothing else for you to see. If we scroll down, we can see what the content of a typical welcome module looks like. We will now go through what each of the icons mean. On the right-hand side of the screen there are some boxes, one of which has been ticked. This indicates this item has been viewed previously, which means you don't have to remember which items you've seen before. Considering the number of items there are on Solomon, this is a very handy function. Again, this underlines the difference between a website and a VLE. This functionality is only possible because you are a validated user on a computer system. This red icon, a greater than and a less than sign with a backslash in between, is what's known as HTML5 content. This means the content is interactive. With HTML5 a new window will open. Generally speaking, this is the format we use for quizzes. As you can see here, this is a quiz about the offices, and multiple choice answers are being used to determine who wears this collar jewel in the lodge. One aspect you need to know about HTML5 content is that when your browser is set at 100% magnification, you get to see all the pictures, and the window is formatted as we intended. Yuck. However, when magnification on your browser is set to less than 100% magnification, the responsive design kicks in and the window is formatted differently. This is because the software thinks you are using a mobile device, and responds accordingly. If you see a window that is formatted differently, check your browser setting. If you change it back to 100% or higher, and invoke the HTML5 content again, it will be formatted like the previous slide. To see how to change the magnification on your browser, try Googling it. This icon, which looks like a purple present, is a SCORM item. This stands for Shareable Content Object Reference Model. It is similar to HTML5. The difference is HTML5 is a better presentation than SCORM, whereas SCORM allows us to record the score, and therefore award badges. We will be explaining badges next. As HTML5 looks better but doesn't record the score, what we have done is provide HTML5 content as practice quizzes. SCORM files are the ones you need to complete to gain your badge. When you select a SCORM quiz for this first time, this is the first thing you will see. Make sure Normal is selected for the mode. The HTML5 version is effectively the preview, so isn't really needed. There is no limit on the number of attempts you are allowed. When you select the mode, you are taken into the quiz. This example is taken from the 5 Orders of Architecture quiz from Welcome Fellowcraft. You can see the presentation is not as good as HTML5. It is too big for the screen, though this can be altered by adjusting the magnification of your browser. If you need to exit the activity and return to the module, use the Exit Activity button at the top of the screen. Rather than using the back arrow, this is the best way of getting out. If you have had a previous attempt at the quiz, you will be informed of your former score. Here you will need to start a new attempt before entering. You can, if you wish, clear the record of previous attempts. The pass mark for all quizzes on Solomon is 100%. The pass mark is a debatable point, but we decided to set it at 100% as anything less is meaningless. If it is set at 90%, what does that mean exactly? Which part of the 10% is acceptably wrong? Not being able to answer this question, we also wanted this to be a challenge. We wanted brethren and companions to value the badges, and you can't get any higher than 100%. Of course, people don't need badges to demonstrate anything in Freemasonry, it is more about your personal sense of achievement. If you remember the tick boxes of earlier that indicate previously viewed material, the only way to get a tick on a SCORM item is to pass the quiz. The only way to pass the quiz is to get 100%. For all the other items, task completion is fulfilled merely by opening the item. You usually only open the item, you don't even have to view it to the end. SCORM items are different in that respect. On the quizzes you are given instant feedback on your answers. In addition, at the end you can review the quiz, as shown by the arrow. If the feedback box gets in the way of your answer, especially for visual quizzes, you can minimize the box by selecting the little V symbol on the corner of the window. This will reveal the area that has been obscured. The window can be restored by selecting the green stripe of the now hidden feedback box. The red icon is a PDF formatted document that will open in a separate window for you. We are going to cover these in more detail in the next section, which is on the information modules. The cyan icon is called a page. This is one method we use to embed a video into the system. In this instance, so it can be a menu item and not get in the way of the flow of the page. If you select a menu item with this icon on it, the system will take you to another page where we can provide further explanation. In this instance, it is the video itself. The play button is on the left. And you can go full screen by pressing the button on the far right. Press your escape key to cancel full screen, and return to the original sized window. Information about the badges for the module you are in are available from the navbar, on the left-hand menu. Badges are not available on every module. They are usually associated with the Welcome modules. This page summarizes all the badges that are available for Welcome Master Mason. In bold is the activity you need to complete to obtain that badge. The ultimate badge is the badge for the degree itself. To achieve this, you need to have successfully completed every SCORM quiz, and opened every item in the module. Further down is a link to all the modules in Solomon, listed in the same order as they are in the list of all modules from the home page. Using this set of links you can jump to anywhere in Solomon. My Modules only shows those modules that you are enrolled on, whereas this list shows all the modules that are available. Solomon Links appears on every module in the system, always in the same place, towards the bottom of the page. Below module links is something we call Module Carousel. This enables you to jump laterally across from one module to the next or back again. You can, if you wish, follow the module carousel until you finish back at your starting place. You will notice that below the module carousel is the end of module marker, referred to earlier.
We now move on to the information modules. As we have mentioned previously, there are two types of modules on Solomon: the Welcome modules, and the Information modules. The welcome modules tend to be more interactive than the information modules, but that does not make them any less important. The information modules tend to have PDF content, as will be shown in the next slide. The information modules also rely more on tags to navigate your way around the system, as will be explained in a later section. Again, the tick boxes on the right indicate these two items with a green background have been opened previously. When you click onto a PDF, it will open in its own window. You can resize the window to suit your purposes. You can have multiple windows open at the same time and rotate your active window as you would do normally. From here you can print the PDF or download it. You are free to distribute the contents of these as you see fit. When you have finished, close it by using X in the top right-hand corner of the PDF window. You can open the document in Adobe Acrobat if you wish, provided it is installed on your computer. The system software simulates the presentation of a PDF document, but with less functionality than Adobe Acrobat. Alternatively, you can close the message "Open in Acrobat" by pressing this X that is next to the red arrow. The prefix to the PDFs tell you what the file is without needing to open it. N stands for nugget. These are designed as short, typically 5-minute presentations, giving a brief insight into Freemasonry. They are ideal as a short intermission at a lodge meeting or lodge of instruction. For example, they can be used when you are waiting for a candidate to be prepared. P stands for paper. These are longer presentations that can be read in open lodge in the form of a lecture. L is short for a leaflet, for example, that can be given to a candidate. Finally, T stands for a presentation which can be made in lodge. They are often accompanied by PowerPoint slides which can be modified to suit your purpose. Sound files appear as a black bar. They always appear immediately below the relevant file that has been voiced. They do not have a task completion tick, as this is only related to the PDF. Use the play button to start the audio. The progress button is towards the right. To look at the tags, select the option for course blocks. Scroll down to see the tags for this module. In this case we are looking at the module on Masonic history. Tags provide a summary of all the documents in this module that are related to a particular theme. Each PDF can be categorized as being relevant for several different themes, so can appear in a number of different tags. The size of the font indicates the number of documents tagged to that particular theme. If you hover above the tag, it will tell you how many entries there are. Here's a top tip for you. You will notice that nuggets and papers are the biggest tags. If you select these, you will get the list of all the nuggets and papers for this module. If you want to look through a particular type of resource, this is the quickest way to do it. Tags also exist for different types of resources, for example sound files. Not just for PDFs. Here we can take a look at the 10 tags for operative and speculative. As there are 5 to a page, we can look at the other 5 by pressing the More button. This is shown below the arrow on the right. You will notice that along the top is a list of tags that are related to the current tag. If you select one of these other tags, you will be presented with another list. Rather than navigating through the modules themselves, this is a good way of looking through related information. Navigating by tags can become something of a rabbit hole, and is a great way of coming across new material in unexpected places. It's a bit like rummaging through an antique shop to come across a rare find. What we will do now is have a look at the first item on the list for the operative and speculative tag. This will take us to a page with a single item on it. This is taken from the list of resources from the module. As an aside, you will notice at the bottom of the page there is also the facility to go to the next and the previous item on the module. This is not the same as the previous and next items on the list of tags. To do that, we would have to navigate back to the previous page. When we select the item, the PDF opens in the usual way. We can now resize the window if we wish, download this to our computer and then email it to a brother for use in a lodge of instruction, or we could print it off. All in the usual manner as before. The tags block will remain open until you close it again. If you go into another module, the system will open the tags block in that module. This can be a bit annoying. To close your tags block, press the course block again to toggle this function off. Alternatively, there is a close option at the bottom of the tags window to set you back at the default. Finally, one module we have not mentioned yet is Solomon System – Information for Users. This is essentially the same module as Getting Started on Solomon, except it is not guest access. By default, everyone is enrolled on this module as this module is relevant to everybody on the system. However, even then you can unenroll if you do not wish to be part of this module. However, bear in mind you might miss out on important system-wide notifications, and this module is where all the help information is contained.
We're now going to go through how to enroll on a module. We have already gone through the guest modules. Anyone can view these without having to register an account on Solomon, and without having to log in. It can be viewed from outside the system, so to speak. One might reasonably ask why modules exist on Solomon. Why can't Solomon work like a website? The answer to that is that Freemasonry itself is modularized, if you think about it. Each of the 3 degrees, including the Royal Arch, operates separately. In fact, they build on each other. But we decided not to build modules that depend on the completion of an earlier degree into the functionality of Solomon. Instead, you can pick and choose on what modules you enroll on. This gives you the ultimate flexibility to customize your own experience. Please be aware of one thing though. The word global only applies to the modules on which you are enrolled, not global to the system. Thus, if you are searching for something on the 2nd degree, and you are not enrolled on the 2nd degree, you will not find that information. The other reason the information is separated into modules is that people who are, say, entered apprentices, cannot stray into modules that are connected to the Fellowcraft or Master Mason degrees. Anyone can register on any of the modules, and this is a deliberate policy. There is nothing hidden or secret, it is open to all. Rather, it operates as an honor system. If you enroll on a module, we trust you that you are entitled to view that material. Besides, if you do access material for ceremonies that you have not undertaken, then you will spoil your own ceremony. And yes, non-Masons can view the same information. But this is no different from other material that can be found on the Internet. Freemasonry is all about the experience and of course, we have revealed nothing that may be considered part of the traditional modes of recognition of a Freemason. As we promised in our own ceremonies, this can only be done in a regular lodge meeting. Let's say you have just undertaken your raising ceremony. You had the experience, now you want to understand the meaning. To start the enrollment process, after logging on you need to go to the home page where you will get a list of modules you are currently enrolled on. Below that is the list of all modules available on Solomon. Scroll down to Welcome Master Mason, and then select View Module. Selecting Welcome Master Mason will then take you to the enrollment screen, as can be seen on the breadcrumb trail at the top. What you need next, and this is the important bit, is located at the bottom of the screen. You can safely ignore everything else. So don't forget to scroll down, and select the Enroll Me button, which is white text on a dark blue background. Without scrolling down, it is easy to miss this important step. And that's all you have to do to enroll on a module. As you can see by the text with the green background, you are now enrolled on this module, and free to explore it as you wish. At the same time you enroll, you will receive an email. The example given here is for the second degree. This email will tell you more about the module. If you don't get this within about 10 minutes, don't forget to look in your spam folder. If it is in there, you need to change your spam filter so it recognizes ugle.org.uk as a legitimate domain. You may be missing out on valuable information if your spam filter is whisking your Solomon emails away.
We will now move on to the section on search. The easiest way to invoke a search of all the modules you are enrolled on is to click the magnifying glass. The field will then open and you can conduct a search. Search is really powerful and there are a number of different functions you can use. The first is you can use Boolean search. The default is OR, so when you put in a number of words, it will return results based on any of the words provided. And returns results that includes all the words entered. Not excludes certain terms, such as those files that mention clothing but exclude anything that contains the word gloves. Wildcards allow you to substitute a series of characters using the asterisk, or a single character using a question mark when you don't know exactly what you are looking for, or indeed where the spelling may vary. Proximity search allows you to find phrases according to their relative location. Finally, boosting terms allows you to prioritize the order you can view the results. Or if you prefer, you can go into your dashboard, as shown in the left, to view the global search, on the right. Both the magnifying glass icon at the top and the dashboard do the same thing. Except if you are using a mobile device, you will definitely need to use the dashboard as the search box is too small for a mobile screen. Do remember this if you are at Lodge or Chapter looking for a nugget and can't figure out why you can't see the magnifying glass icon. Here is a better view of the dashboard when you scroll down. We're going to make a really important point. So if you've dozed off in the last few seconds or your mind's wandered on to think about what you're going to have for your tea, please listen up. Although it clearly says Global Search, the search only returns results from the modules that you are enrolled on. I'll repeat that for dramatic effect. Search only returns results from the modules that you are enrolled on. It does not search every module, because if it did, some users might accidentally find material for ceremonies which they have not yet undertaken. Thus, if global search was indeed global, an entered apprentice might accidentally find out something about the raising ceremony. When you press return to start the search, you are taken to the results page. In this example, we are using the search term, tassel, to find out about anything to do with the 4 tassels. These should be represented in every lodge room, as they represent temperance, fortitude, prudence and justice. If we take this in reverse order, you will notice there is a second hyperlink in the search result that says "View this result in context." In this instance, it says the result is contained in the module, the first degree. If we selected this item, it would take you directly to the module in which the search term is located. Please note though, you would effectively have to do the search again as it only opens the module for you. You would have to remember the name of the label for the checkered, Masonic, pavement, but this may be a handy function to know. If you select the hyperlink with the name of the file, the system will take you to a screen with a range of options. The red arrows indicate that you could go to the file above and below the one you have selected. Alternatively, you can use the drop-down menu to select any other file in the module. In order to select your search result, select the hyperlink that will appear when you hover over the name of the file. Having selected the hyperlink, the file will open in a new window as a PDF. You can keep as many PDFs open at the same time as your computer will allow.
Finally, we are going to cover the dashboard. Latest announcements are used for system-wide messaging. This is an email forum you can subscribe to, and will enable you to keep up to date with developments on the system. However, whether you subscribe to this forum or not, You can still look through previous announcements by selecting the Older Topics link. You can subscribe to the latest announcements forum by selecting the cog at the top right-hand side of the screen. Subscription is voluntary, and you can remove yourself later if you wish. Select Subscribe to this forum, and you will receive all notifications by email. As we have already mentioned, you can also select a search from the dashboard. Dashboard also allows you to view the latest badges you have earned. Unfortunately, I haven't earned any, so this section appears blank. We covered tags in section 5, but those were specific to that particular module. These are a list of the most popular ones that are available on the system, over 400 in total. However, if you select a tag that has information for a module you are not enrolled on, that material will not be displayed. This means you will not accidentally come across content for a degree you have not yet undertaken. The last thing to mention in Dashboard is an alternative way to navigate, or put another way, a different method for jumping to other modules if you are in that section of the system.
And that, as they say, is it. During this session we have covered logging on, the home page, the guest access modules, the welcome modules, the information modules, enrolling on a module, search, and the dashboard. We hope you will be ever more effective in the way you use Solomon VLE. On behalf of the Learning and Development team, thank you and goodbye.